whatever it is you do. All right. So as we start live, a lot to get to today. More from the end of the spring ACC meetings at Amelia Island. Joining me later in the show, Ira Schafel, who I thought wrote an interesting piece for Warchant.com. I'd read it if I were you. We'll talk about it. One particular paragraph or two that I want to ask him about that is somewhat revelatory, I think, and affirming. And then, of course, the big news of the day, which we predicted over a week ago would happen. Keon Coleman has signed with Florida State. I didn't even dance. I just kind of, got another one right. Got another one right. Kind of what we do. I'm bored with getting all these predictions about the portal correct. But we got our guy there, so that's good. It does present real problems for defenses throughout the land. And, listen, this was an offense that was already going to present an awful lot of problems for defenses across the land. And now it's just an added problem, an added layer of problems. And I just think the more diverse you are on offense without having to sub out a lot of personnel, the more you can just drag defenses. Don't let them sub. Play fast. You got a chance to really isolate one-on-ones and exploit athletic mismatches, size mismatches. I don't know, really. There probably aren't too many teams that have the personnel to be able to deal with that sort of diversity that Florida State has on offense. So, not to say there aren't any, but not many. That first team you play right out the gates might have it. So it'll be interesting to see for that to be a test game one. I mean, the one thing is with Keon Coleman coming in, you love what he gives you. You love what he brings to the table, but he's going to have to learn it quick. He was not here in spring. He's going to have to pick up this offense now, and he's going to have to be ready to go day one for him to have a big impact in a huge game. You really only play two huge games on this schedule. Now, Florida is always a big game, and Miami is always a big game because they're rivals, and you want to kill them, and you want to continue to step on their necks. You want to continue to beat them the way you beat Miami 45-3. But you know that in truth, the personnel, the speed, the depth, the talent, and the importance of two games really stand out, and you need him to be good. You need Coleman to be good from the jump. I think. Not that you couldn't win if he was still getting up to speed, but you need him to be good.
I'll be curious to see if they are going to run up tempo a little bit more, because also beyond the fact that you're really good, and like you're saying, you can drag teams, force them to play with whatever group of 11 they have on the field,
and you give up 5 yards on first down, you're in trouble.
The clock runs.
Here we go. Baby.
The clock runs after first downs, except for 2 minutes inside the half. So there is a greater urgency. I would think if you're going to create more at-bats, more plays, more possessions, whatever it is, the metric that you care about the most, now that the clock is running after the first down, there might be a conscious choice, something we discussed on Warchant TV in the reaction video yesterday, but that is now a new factor here. It was an inexact science until the game got close. Whatever the clock operator did in each stadium was different. Sometimes the clock would just run after a first down. You'd be like, well, aren't they supposed to pause it for the chains?
Yeah.
Because they're not. And sometimes it would stay paused for a 3-second count too long. And you say, well, what is this person up to? Well, now there is no clock operator human error. It's just going to run. So does Mike Norvell say in the offseason, all right, because the clock is going to run, we're going to force the issue. They already run up-tempo drills in practice, but will they run it more? And will that be something they break out? It's been kind of a change-up in this offense rather than the standard to go at breakneck speed.
Correct.
But does that become the fastball? Does that become what we do?
I think it matters the opponent. And I think in games, if you go through our schedule, I almost think you could predict when they're going to do it. And in particular, in the first half of football games this year, there are, I would tell you that I would guess that most of the games they will. I don't necessarily think they will against LSU, and I don't know about Clemson. But LSU is is a scary proposition for your defense as well. And I don't know I guess you could try to, you could decide it's a 48-45 kind of night.
And Mike Norvell has done that before in
He
his
has.
career.
He has.
He's not afraid of that situation.
No, especially when he's got the ammo.
Yeah.
I agree. If he feels like he can win a shootout against almost anybody he faces, and you might believe that if you are him right now with all your weapons and the experience you have at quarterback and the depth you have on the offensive line and the depth you have in the backfield and, et cetera, you might be inclined to say, you know what? If this defense doesn't prove to me that they have taken the next big step forward and can win games, then screw it. You know what? I'm not going to protect them.
But it might also be self-fulfilling if you do go fast in a game like LSU. Well, you've got the depth of the defensive interior, but not at end.
Mm-mm.
And do you really want Jared Verse to be gassed? That's one of your game breakers. You want Patrick Payton to be gassed. You could still have time to cultivate a second wave of ends, and it's going to be a huge camp for Gilbert Edmond, among others, at defensive end for Florida State. Maybe you go poach one with one of the remaining spots that you have in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's self-fulfilling. If you decide that you're going to go at a crazy speed, then you're setting up your defense to fail, even though they might have really good players.
Well, you want options. Let's get back to why it's important. You want options. You want to be able to win a game any way that you have to. And there are some teams that do one thing. They're one-trick ponies. They're really good at that trick. And if you allow them to play that way, they will beat you. But there are some teams that can take away what it is you want to do. And the fallback mode to beat that team is maybe not nearly as strong. And you aren't able to execute it as consistently. I think Florida State is in a position with this personnel on offense to win it however you want to play it. If you decide to stack against the run, you're not going to run the ball on us. We're not going to get emasculated like that. We're not going to allow you to possess the ball and wear our guys down. And we're going to walk safeties up and we're going to make sure you throw it. Well, good luck with that, man. Okay, good luck because we can. Florida State will throw the ball with now a second real dangerous weapon at wide receiver to go along with the tight ends, to go along obviously with Johnny Wilson. So now you're in a situation where, okay, fine, we're going to have one-on-one somewhere. And I like our guys in that situation. And if you decide to play back and keep everything in front of you, well, we're going to run the ball down your throat and just bludgeon you. It's a tough decision for defensive coordinators right now. This is not ideal. If you're a defensive coordinator, damn it, man.
Well, it's quite the turn of events, too, because
yes,
you said blind resume, just here it is. You're going to lose Malik McClain to the portal. Obviously, Pokey has to graduate out. Micah Pittman's going to leave. And that Winston Wright through spring camp isn't going to look as explosive as he was. You'd say, oh, boy. Okay. So we've got Johnny, though. Yeah, we do. But here's the kicker. You're going to be better at receiver than you were before all those things happened. You're still going to have a net positive. You're going to be more explosive at receiver and better overall. I think if I sent you that information in December, you'd say, no, there's no way that that's possible. Oh, yes, it is now. Yes, it is now with Keon Coleman and also the development of a guy as dangerous as Dre Jacobs. I'm going to continue to knock down the door of the hype machine for this kid because now he's going to be slotted as a number 3 or a number 4. I think this expedites
his growth.
Vandravius Jacobs' growth and the impact that he can have in a game because he is now where he needs to be as a freshman against your 4th or 5th best cover corner or safety.
Yeah, favorable matchups. Again, I'll go back to what I said at the outset. You bring in another receiver like this, it just provides opportunities to exploit favorable matchups. You're going to have one, and it can change every week. Teams can – I remember Bill Belichick talked about this, and Parcells talked about this, and defensive minds have talked about this before. Generally speaking, if I've got a decent team, not even a great team, but a decent team, I can take away any one thing I want to take away. I can just decide I'm not going to give you this. But when you do that, you are giving me something else. And you just have to decide, well, can they execute that nearly as well, even though it may still be a favorable matchup for them? Because I know what they do if I let them run what they want to run. But you have finally reached a place where, fine, take away whatever you want. We're just going to go to this, and you can't stop that. We've got real good players there, too. If it becomes, okay, well, you know what? We've decided Jaheim Bell's just going to have to beat us. Oh, well, all right. Okay. He will. Get ready for 7 catches and a buck 22 and 2 TDs from
Right.
Jaheim Pell today.
Right.
I mean, that's great. It's where you want to be.
Here's a fun visual experiment for you. We're lined up. It's shotgun, 4 wide, 2 to each side. Johnny Wilson on the outside. Keon Coleman on the outside.
Yeah.
Jaheim Bell, slot to the right. Dre Jacobs, slot to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Travis and Trey Benson in the backfield.
Yeah, good luck.
Pick your poison. What's it going to be? Because even if you pick your poison, 2 dudes are going to be open in that situation. 2 guys in one-on-one.
And if by chance the play breaks down, somebody whiffs on a block, my quarterback's going to make you miss and run for 15.
Oh. Also, heaven forbid that Winston Wright returns to form, because you could just plug him in the Dre Jacobs spot.
Well, by the way, if Portier continues his ascent as a physical, tough wide receiver who makes tough catches and is growing in confidence. Yeah, I was on a show today, interviewed about the get for Keon Coleman, but also the questions were pretty much, hey, how did this happen? What has Mike Norvell done? What, like there's a magic formula. And I pretty much told the host, man, one thing he did really well is he never wavered, and I bring it up all the time, in the face of overwhelming adversity and real negativity. You lose to Jacksonville State, some harsh things are going to be said about your acumen to coach the game. Understandably. When you make the kind of mistakes and you inherit the kind of bad hand that he did, and it all adds up to some embarrassing moments for a very proud program, you're going to hear things nationally that have an effect on your ability to bring in upgrades at each position. So now you're really beginning to develop a problem that you may not be able to overcome. How do you do it? Well, you don't panic, but most people do. When those kinds of odds are stacked against you, and when you don't have things go your way even a little bit, you can panic. You can begin to pull the emergency chute a little early. You can decide to win almost taking shortcuts, maybe cheaply, if you will, if you can get away with it. But if you go away from what you stand for and what you believe to be right, and I'm not talking about morals and ethics, I'm talking about scheme and hard work. It's not, I'm not talking about a magic potion here where you just change who you are as a human being. I'm saying if you just decide, I'm going to forego what I want to build here for the easy road here and do a couple of things. I'm just going to run Jordan Travis 27 times because you know what? In a lot of these games, it'll get us a win. It's not what he wanted to do. It's not the best way to develop the other players around him. It's not the scheme that he wants. It's nothing that he stands for. You might have to do it here and there, but he didn't do anything to the extreme like that at all. He's like, no, we're going to be all right. Going to be all right. It's about hard work. Come back here tomorrow. We'll talk about it. We'll learn from the mistakes we just made. In the interim, I'm damn sure going to try to fill some holes through the portal, which is now, you better be doing that. I mean, if you're in that position, that's not a shortcut anymore. That is the reality for every program that has major holes to fill. Yeah, so you better do that.
I think that was the catalyst for this whole thing because Ron Dugans was on the outs. We all remember that conversation. It happened 10 minutes ago. But what a 10 minutes it's been for Coach Ron Dugans. It was the pitch and the landing of 4 transfer receivers a couple of winters ago in Johnny Wilson, Micah Pittman, Deuce Spann, and Winston Wright. No particular order, but you get those 4 guys. And what is the pitch that you make in order to land their services? I'm not saying that they were preseason all Pac-12 or in the respective conferences. They weren't. But still, if you're a receiver looking for a new home, what about Florida State was appealing at the moment that they committed? You didn't know what Jordan Travis was going to turn into.
You certainly couldn't have guessed this.
You couldn't have guessed it. That he could have been a good player, but nothing like this. You knew that there was opportunity to play. That's it. Other than that, it was on faith. It was on Memphis film that you could be successful in Mike Norvell's offense. It wasn't Florida State film that you could be successful in the offense. And they all said yes. Mm-hmm. And from that point, the ball started rolling. Of course, Jordan's development helps expedite this whole thing and make it look a lot better. But from that point, you land Hakeem Williams. I mean, a top-level high school recruit that we hadn't had around here say yes to us in forever. But I think it goes back to that point where you got 4 transfers to say yes to you at that position. That's how you flip a reputation and become a destination for a position. And that's what we got here at receiver now. Look at what we've done in high school in the last 2 classes, what we're about to do.
Yeah, and again, I think that was the direct result of honest conversations and honest dialogue when they got across from the head coach. That when I say he didn't waver from what it was he believed about how you build and how you develop a program. In those rooms and in those conversations, that's what was revealed. And the reason we know that is they told us. And I don't mean the head coach, he did, but the players. And I think in this case, you'd rather hear it from the players because the head coach is going to say whatever he's going to say a lot of times to the press because he's trying to get a message out there. But when you hear players say, oh, well, when they reached out to me, they were on me early, but they challenged me. And they said I wasn't just going to come in and play without working really hard. They wanted me to become an even better player than I was when I arrived. They challenged aspects of my overall game that hadn't been developed. They told me how much they were going to ride me and make me work, and that it wasn't just, hey, we need a player at this position. We're going to plug you in, come play football for us. It was much more than that. And it's, to me, when I heard Jermaine Johnson describe it, when I heard him say that Mike was very serious in the way that he spoke to him the first time they ever talked. Now picture this for a second. You have a program of underwhelming athletes. Florida State was not exactly lighting the world on fire with top-notch Power 5 talent. Jermaine Johnson walks through the door. Now, this is before we ever saw Jermaine Johnson. This is Mike and Jermaine have a meeting. And you're Mike Norvell, and Jermaine Johnson walks in. And he doesn't look anything like the players that are currently on your roster. Rather, he looks like a guy that would fit right in at Alabama, did fit in at Georgia, right? Like if you walk in those locker rooms, there's a bunch of guys that look like Jermaine Johnson. Freaks of nature, massive, quick, all the athleticism, the great feet, the length, all of it. You're like, look at this guy. Well, no wonder. I mean, we can't beat that. We don't have these guys. So you would want him. You would immediately be like, we got to get this guy. Whatever I need to say, I got to get this guy. Whatever we got to do, I got to get it because I got to get more guys that look like that. That wins games. Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's. I got to get guys that look like that. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that. And I know that because Jermaine Johnson told me that Mike did not do that. That's, buddy, that's pretty amazing. I'd have paid him off with drugs, money, cars, whatever he wanted. It's a joke. Come on, everybody, kind of. I mean, it's, I make the joke all the time, drugs, money, hose. It's just you would do whatever you had to do, but they didn't.
Somehow that hasn't worked for Miami in the last 20 plus years.
It did to the tune of like 5 national titles.
It did.
It did back in the day.
But then no matter what they do.
Not now. Yeah. Everybody offers it up now.
In this millennium, it doesn't matter. And even when they try, Nevin Shapiro ends up in the news for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, no, I think that is the answer. It's they just stayed tried and true and believed, and it's the right way to do it. And I think now they continue to benefit. They've also sometimes you need a little luck. You bring it up a lot because I said a while back, going into the season last year, they need some things to break right for them. They need to have a couple things just go well that are kind of out of your control. Like, I don't know, a blocked extra point or something. You need something good to happen to you, and you can create a buzz and a little bit of momentum, and there can be some positive sort of reverberations to that win nationally. And then in the recruiting trail, people are, oh, damn, they beat LSU. This might be different. You create that buzz with these moments where you catch a break. And they caught some breaks. It all worked out. And now, and what I mean is, not only did those portal players come in and make a huge difference, but now it's kind of it's taken on a life of its own. This is a national story that Florida State owns the portal. And this is like people who are not affiliated with Florida State, who are tasked with writing articles about the big picture of college football. When referencing Florida State, it's one of the first things that comes up, that Florida State has figured out the secret to the portal, that Florida State's messaging in the portal is better than everybody else's. There's a very big difference between the way Florida State has gone about this and then what Deion is, for example, having to do at Colorado. Deion at Colorado is like, we have no good players. We'll take kids that have failed out of your school if they run even a little bit. We have no chance to compete with anybody at all. Can you jump more than 6 inches off the ground? Can you run a 5.8 40? Come on in. We'll take any of you. Any of you. We have to. We have no choice. That's a very different way of utilizing the portal. That is just come one, come all. These kids suck. I told them they sucked. I told all the kids here that they have to leave because they suck so bad. So if you're just reasonably better than this suck fest that I inherited, I'm taking you in. That's that approach. Fine. You got to do that if you're Colorado's set of circumstances. You've got to say those things. Florida State does not. It's a very different approach, and it's one that is proving to be very effective when it comes to getting elite players. Elite players. So Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
A cup of joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Conferences to call away. 222-7722. Heating and cooling is the job we do. Parker Services. Conferences to call away.
Invest in a Peak Performance membership and you'll buy peace of mind in knowing that you're extending the life of your system and probably saving money on your power bill too. The program includes comprehensive tune-ups that keep your system running at its maximum efficiency. And Peak Performance members get many benefits, including priority service. Members jump to the front of the line when their comfort system fails. And a 15% discount on all parts. The Peak Performance membership pays for itself over and over again. Call today and have peace of mind. Florida license number CMC 050334.
Parker Services. Conferences to call away. Parker Services. Conferences to call away.
Hi, this is Jamie McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
A championship. Any of you got our Fox? Anybody got our Fox? Did you grab our Fox for $6,000? It's been an interesting day. I like the way the course presents. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look like a place you want to play?
It does.
Man.
It looks like it combines the best elements of the U.S. Open with the Masters.
Got to be below the hole everywhere.
Below the hole.
Below the hole, baby.
The greens are not browned out, yet they're fast. They're fair.
Yeah.
And then the rough is brutal. Hit the damn fairway.
Rough is brutal. No doubt. As for notables, well, there'll be plenty of them. This is going to, I think, produce an interesting and fun leaderboard, no doubt. If you're wondering about Brooks Koepka, he's at even par, which today would be fine. Anybody gets into the house at even, you're going to feel good about it. Corey Connors at 2 under, Victor Hovland at 2 under. Scotty Scheffler sits at 1 under, 1 off the pace. Justin Thomas also 1 under. And then we get a whole host of people in there at even. It's been interesting to watch. At one point, Colin Morikawa was 2 under. 4 holes later, he was even. It seems like nobody can sustain it. Even guys that got off to great starts and were tearing up the course with birdie starts have fallen to even +1. It doesn't seem very sustainable. What is sustainable is the slump that Rory McIlroy continues to be in as he sucks again today at +3 currently.
I watched some featured groups earlier, and Scotty Scheffler had a 45-yard pitch from the drivable par 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the rough, but you see everything in front of you. There's no tricks to it. He took longer to actually decide to hit the shot than Jim Phillips took explaining about the gated communities. It went, I think it went north of 3 minutes. He walked to the green 3 different times.
Yeah, it's got to tell you how hard it is, right?
Guys.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, come on. It's a 45-yard pitch. He's got all the green in the world to work with. We got to do better. Gary Woodland yelled at him.
Well, but Gary has been nothing but a suckfest today and has been awful from Jump Street, so he should maybe slow down.
Well,
because he can't hit a shot.
Perhaps Scotty got in his head.
I don't think so. I think Gary is a mess. +5 through 10. Get out of here, Gary. Hit a damn shot. Looking like a buffoon out here. We'll see. Maybe the afternoon group will have it better. Maybe they'll be like, this was the time to shine, baby. We like this afternoon. Most of the time I see anybody gets is teeing off at 4. I'm like, they got to be like, really? 4:15 to start my day? But maybe they're all sitting there right now like, yes, I want no part of this. 37 degrees when we teed off and slightly windy and obviously damp conditions. That might be a bit much. Irash fell. He's tired of hearing me talk about golf. Come on, Cameron. Let's go. I'm making a special appearance on a Thursday. Get on the show already. Ira, how are you, brother?
You can read my mind, Jeff. That's impressive.
Oh, buddy. All right. So was that fun? Did you have a fun time over there, or were people on pins and needles?
It was fine, man. It's just, you could definitely tell there's some tension in the air. And, it's funny. I was just telling somebody that, like, because of, we all cover our own schools. So, like, you kind of get you're seen as aligned with your school. So I definitely felt like a little different vibe when people with the ACC office were talking to me this week compared to normal times. But, and it's like, hey, man, I don't have anything to do with this.
Like they're mad at you?
Well, no, you just can tell they're not thrilled about what's been coming out of Tallahassee lately. So, it's fine. But it was a good event. And like, it was good to get a feel also from talking to the other media, see what they're hearing from the schools they talk to, and, try to kind of cross notes. And it was a good week.
Well, it was, and I'm glad you were there, and I appreciate that you were there because we learned some things. You did note that, though, not a lot has changed. All of the concerns going in remain the concerns now, and whatever rhetoric or comments that followed really don't make much of a difference. When you say that you talked to others and compared notes, okay, for the schools that aren't being mentioned as those that are quite concerned with the financial future of their programs and this league, what do they say? What do they say about what they're hearing?
I think that there's a feeling there that, again, I think that they look at Florida State and say, well, hey, listen, maybe our deal would be better if Florida State had been better for some of these years, which is always funny to me, because it's like all the pressure is on FSU to bring home the bacon, and it's like, well, what have you guys been doing? And then, and a lot of times we understand, we understand the side of the schools we're covering. We talk to them more frequently. So, they'll parrot some of the things that those schools say. And my point, and because I see it from Florida State's perspective, is, look, Florida State deserves more of the TV revenue because that's who people want to watch. And they look at it from the perspective of their schools that, hey, Wake Forest went 10-2, so maybe they should get a bigger cut of the pie. So, it's, again, we all hear what the people we're talking to, and then you have to use your own logic. And I think my logic more aligns with, I think, where Florida State's coming from.
So for those that haven't read the article, I would tell folks to read the article. It's on warchant.com, and I thought it was a good one. If you guys are looking for it, Florida State is ready to lead the charge, but who will go along and to what lengths is the title you'll see there from Ira. One of the things that you brought up in this right off the bat, I thought was very interesting, and I want to get to the part where you say that they may be willing to go it alone, which is kind of eye-opening and eyebrow-raising. But go back a little bit. What shifted in your mind from sort of the emphatic pre-spring meeting conversation that the one-on-one produced that you had with Michael Alford? And obviously it was more of what we heard in the initial well-documented YouTube clip, and then what was further expounded upon by Michael Alford any chance he got about Florida State's brand and why they deserve more, and the current situation's untenable and it's never going to work like this and they can't afford to fall behind. What changed after the quote-unquote magnificent 7 schools were identified, and he comes back out yesterday and gives or day before and says that, well, listen, it might have been overblown. Jim Phillips is doing a fantastic job. We all want to stay here. I mean, that's nonsense. No, you don't want to stay here. Is that just diplomacy?
I think it was a combination of things. I think it was a combination of when they got there on Monday, they had that 2-hour athletic director meeting that we wrote about. And I think there were some hostilities behind closed doors. And at the end of the day, I think Jim Phillips was probably trying to get the message across that, hey, listen, you guys don't need to do this publicly. If you guys have concerns, or if you want to, come look at the grant of rights and do all these things, that's fine. But you're damaging the brand of the conference, and that is not cool. And so I think there was some pressure probably put on the ADs to come back and say things a little bit differently. But I think maybe Alford probably went a little overboard on that. But I also think, he knows that the reality is Jim Phillips is doing what is best he can do. And so they're trying to encourage and kind of encourage a spirit of a partnership, in the sense that, they've made some headway with this revenue sharing when it comes to uneven revenue sharing when it comes to on the field stuff, the college football playoff or the basketball tournament. That's a fraction of what they need to do, which is with the television contract. But I think you could feel like, okay, they're making a baby step in this process. So let's encourage them and maybe praise them for it. And let's see where it's going. Because at the end of the day, nothing he said in that room is going to change what happens behind the scenes. And so I think I didn't love the comments. I thought you did a good job of explaining kind of your concerns about them. I don't think he did it perfectly, but I also don't know that it really matters. Because at the end of the day, what happens in the negotiations is more important than what any of them say to the media.
Yeah, in essence, this is a dead man walking league. We're getting back to where we were. There's nothing they can do. And this feels, it seems like Jim Phillips almost said as much It was another one of those desperate, hey, come on down. Let's have a lunch. Bring your lawyers. It's all good. We're going to hang out.
Hey, we fed them.
Yeah.
We had no problem with that. Yeah, man, that whole thing is comical because, look, man, they're not just taking a little trip over to Greensboro to look at those documents. They're sending attorneys who charge billable hours. And it ain't cheap to send attorneys across the country to go look at documents. I mean, so yeah, that's not a just a happenstance. And then the other comment he made, which, and again, I'm not ripping Jim Phillips because he didn't create this situation. He didn't do the expansions they did earlier where they added Syracuse to some of these schools. He didn't sign a 20-year grant of rights, so it's not his fault. But some of the things he said were just comical. The other thing was where he said, every conference every school's looking at, well, you know what? You know who's not? The SEC schools and the Big Ten schools.
Correct.
They're not doing any due diligence right now. They're just collecting their checks. So
yeah. They're not flying lawyers in for long lunches to hang out and sing Kumbaya and tell everybody how much they love one another.
Exactly.
I'm going to read from your article. It's why a school like Florida State will force this issue and try to create as much leverage as possible. Why the Noles know they have no choice but to push and fight for every dollar they can. Why I believe and am completely confident in this, that Florida State would even go it alone if it had to. That if nothing changed with the ACC and other schools backed out, the Seminoles could write a check for a $120 million exit fee and wage the legal battle over the grant of rights and see what they could get on the open market. That's weighty, Ira.
You could say I buried the lead. I should have had that in the first 2-3 paragraphs.
It was the paragraph that made me stand up and say, hot damn!
Well, all right, here's the situation. They know two things, okay? Number one, Florida State and Clemson need these other schools to realize how serious they are. And so I think you could make a case that what they're doing right now and some of these kind of expressing their concerns and letting everybody know how far they would go, I think you could say, okay, they're making the ACC schools and ESPN understand you've got to come to the table. Because right now they're not. When Michael Alford pushes for them to do uneven revenue sharing with a TV contract, it goes nowhere. Those other schools are not going to negotiate on that. So here's, again, people I'm talking to are telling me, look, we will go to whatever lengths we have to. And here's the thing, like, staying put is not an option. So does Florida State want to spend $120 million to get out of this contract and deal with whatever the legal repercussions are? No, but they can't sit here and just wallow in this till 2036. So again, will Florida State actually do that if they had to? I'm sure they don't want to. Would they actually do it? They got to make that financial decision. What I don't know, and none of us know, and you talked about like the tenor of the meetings and all that, none of us know exactly how how strong the grant of rights really is, and that's what they're sending those attorneys there to do by looking at that and the media contract. And so I just find it interesting. This is the thing I brought up before, but what I find interesting about all this is for years and years, I mean, literally years, we have been told the grant of rights is ironclad. There's nothing you can do about it. If you listen to people now who are reporting and covering ESPN side or the ACC side or some of those other school side, that's not what they say anymore. What they say now is, hey, it would be really expensive and it would be a really drawn out legal process. Well, those are two totally different things. And so if it's ironclad, it's ironclad. If it's not, then it's not. And now it becomes a financial decision. But again, I think from people I talked to at Florida State, the idea of sitting in this conference till 2036 or anywhere close to that, making $30 or $40 million less than those other schools they have to compete with, it's just not happening. So I don't know how successful they'll be, but I know that they're not content to just ride it out and hope things get better.
What would a time frame look like in your estimation, based on what you've learned in talking to your sources, regarding Florida State deciding that's it, that's all, we've exhausted everything we could, this isn't going to work, now's the time to pull the trigger and take the chance and ride?
I think they'd love to get, again, all 8 schools, at least 8 schools on board and dissolve it. And I think that however long that takes, but if that's not going to happen, man, it's going to be sooner than later. I just don't think that they're going to, this is going to be, we've talked in the past about, maybe you wait 3 years, maybe you wait 5 years, maybe, and get those numbers down to whatever. I don't think that's the case, man. I mean, I don't know details of how they can do it or when they can do it. But I don't think it's going to be long. And again, I don't know if that's months, weeks, days. I don't know. I just know it's not going to be long. They're not going to just sit and wait and hope for things to get better.
Can 8 teams dissolve the league?
My understanding is, yeah, man. That's and again, I don't know the mechanics of it, but my understanding is 8 schools could make the decision to basically put everything into effect. So I believe it is. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is if they get 8 schools on board and all 8 schools are ready to ride, not just say, hey, we're with you, but actually ready to ride. Yeah, that's what they need.
So what's happening now then, if that is the case, one would think, is folks are scrambling to find a place to land because not everybody can go to the SEC or the Big Ten. In fact, if we get up to 9-10 teams, you would end up saying probably the majority of the teams that are willing to leave at that point and put their name to it and actually decide to walk are not going to the Big Ten or the SEC. They're trying to find a place that's better than the ACC, which right about now is everywhere. But that said, right, you would need, and then the politics get involved because we remember the last expansion. Remember all this, how this went down before? Hey, Virginia Tech has to have a place to go, and Virginia's going to protect them. And in the state of North Carolina, you may not think much of NC State, but they're in tandem with North Carolina, and they won't leave without each other. And we did this before. So the machinations, the politics, all of that is what's happening right now behind the scenes so that people have a landing spot, right?
Yeah, potentially. But also, again, I don't think they've taken the idea off the table that maybe 8 teams go or 9 teams go and they pick up 2 or 3 other teams. They start their own conference and or merge with another conference. I don't, again, there's nothing. My perception is nothing's off the table. The only thing that's off the table is sitting in this league till 2036, making way less money than everybody else. And when you talk about politics, man, there's politics in Florida. There are people in the with power in the state of Florida who don't want to see Florida State become an afterthought in college athletics. So, I think there are people that would help Florida State if it came to it. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of things at play here. Again, I just say if I had to put my money on Vegas on what's the most likely scenario or the least likely scenario, to me, the least likely scenario is Florida State sitting in the ACC and rubbing pennies together while Florida's sitting over there with $400 million in the bank because of their contract with the SEC.
Florida State would announce they can't make the game Saturday. They have to give plasma. We're just not going to be able to do it, guys. We're a week from all the plasma we've had to give. Thank you, brother. This is fun. I know it's not going to go anywhere, and so we'll continue to rely on your expertise and your insight and your sources and your skills as a writer, brother. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Yep, be good. Yeah, man. Untenable. And don't get all lovey-dovey either. Just be what it is. Screw it. This ain't going to work.
And we want to stay.
We love it here. Can't wait to stay. What? What'd you say? Nothing. Lost my mind for a second. Let's react to that. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Bainbridge Public Safety is investigating 3 shooting incidents where homes were shot at. The first one happened on May 12th on Plantation Road. Shots were fired around 9 p.m. One person was grazed by a bullet. The victim was treated and released within 24 hours. The second happened on May 14th in the area of Sim Street. No injuries were reported there. A mother and 2 babies were asleep when shots pierced a refrigerator. The last one happened on Water Street Monday night around 11 p.m. No one was injured in that shooting incident as well. Bullets pierced through the front, leaving damage behind. Bainbridge police said there may be a connection. Public safety is a concern as the shooters may still be at large, and police describe these shootings as random. Anyone with information is asked to call Bainbridge Public Safety at 229-248-2038. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. High of 85, southerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows around 67. Mainly cloudy skies expected. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 87. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 84.
Hey Tallahassee, it's Sarah with Seminole Auto Glass. You're probably driving right now, which means you're surrounded by glass. Did you know that each piece is made differently? Your windshield is 2 sheets of glass with a thin plastic in between. This allows it to take an impact without going all the way through. Side and back glasses are typically tempered. This strengthening process is what allows them to be shattered in the event of emergency. Regardless of the glass or how it breaks, we can help. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass, proudly serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. Better call Seminole.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Yeah, we're all just going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every day now. And it reminds me a little bit of what we went through with the first big time shift in college athletics, musical chairs, and every day we came to work back then, Tom, at ESPN going, man, can you believe this? What's going to happen next? And at that time, Florida State was rumored to maybe join the Big 12, if you recall, and we were talking about what that might look like, and the dust settled and everything seemed to move from there. And then you thought, right when you kind of stopped thinking about it, you got when the Texas and Oklahoma had been poached by the SEC, and you thought, well, all right, well, this is never going to end. This is now the ultimate battle to see who has biggest, baddest, best TV presence for college football. And it became pretty quickly a battle between the Big Ten and the SEC.
That was one of the things in the discussion 10, 11 years ago. People thought it was folly that you could have a conference with a footprint that expands multiple time zones. That has proven to be the future. It's not folly, it's the future. And the Big Ten has just adopted it in the most aggressive way in college football history. And I think the Big Ten wants a piece of the East Coast as well. I think they want to be coast to coast if they can handle it. Hovering that over ESPN would be a good thing if we broke away from this thing and paid the 120 and said, we're going to go to court. The thing that I'm very fired up about in that interview is that the number is 8. If the number is indeed 8, to rewrite the books on the conference itself and essentially set yourself on your own path, we can find homes for 8 teams. Come on now. We can all work
Well, the whole
together.
key would be Notre Dame. If they're in, if Notre Dame decides, yeah, we're part of it too.
Absolutely.
Then yeah.
Then you're at 9. And then Pitt would say, well, what the hell, guys? I want to come too. I'm not staying here with Syracuse and Boston College. I will vote with you in order to be proactive about my future.
That's nice, Pitt. That's lovely. We'll get back to you.
Well, the Big 12 would be the future. The Big 12 would want Pitt. 100% they would.
I'm saying at some point when everybody decides to jump on board, realizing they're on a sinking ship and we're the life raft, we're going to have to make some calls. Maybe give them the wrong link to the Zoom meeting.
I want to run up the votes. I want that
No,
vote.
you can have everybody in the AC. Yeah, we're all in. Great, Boston College. Good, glad you're in. Here, Tuesday at 3, click on this link. We'll be there. We'll have a conversation about it. What is this? This is porn. What is this? What is this? Who clicked this link? This is the link they gave us.
In my head, this is the difference between you and me. In my head, I thought, wouldn't it be funny to say a site name that we all know that's wrong? But the site name itself is benign.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just went ahead and said what I was thinking. That's the difference. That's the difference.
Just they click and they're like, oh, no.
No links in the chat. No links in the chat.
We've been duped. The Florida State guy swore this was the right one. And then all of a sudden, another picture pops into that link, and it's freaking Syracuse. Oh, it's just BC here. This isn't. What are we doing?
If I leave the meeting early, quickly, they might not notice I was here in the first place.
Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Tires remix, y'all. Fulfill auto repair and tires. Automotive service, there is no one finer. Tires and struts and racks and pinions. ASE certified technicians. 12-month, 12K guarantee. Same-day service usually. Engine rebuilds done complete. Brakes and shocks, that's no small feat. Keep your AC blowing cool. CV joints, emissions too. Open weekdays till 6 at night. Give them a chance, they'll treat you right. Crawfordville Auto Repair and Tires. 2170 Crawfordville Highway, Crawfordville, Florida.
Hey, this is your stomach speaking. It's time to eat again. We met deadlines and closed out the workday like a boss. The last thing you want to do is cook dinner. Even worse, pick up any fast food garbage. We need something good, something local. We need foodiestakeout.com. An all-star lineup of local spots like Smitty's Tap House, El Jalisco, Jerry's Cafe, Hangar 38, Metro Deli, and more. It's so easy. Just choose pickup or delivery, and let's eat the good stuff. I'm growling already. Visit foodiestakeout.com.
Cannonball! When I get home from work, I'm ready to relax. So I call Swain Pools and Spas and put my pool in the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up the fun when I want to.
It's springtime in Tallahassee, and there's nothing better than soaking it all up in your very own hot tub from Swain Pools and Spas. Swain Pools and Spas is the home for Caldera and free flow spas in North Florida, and Swain has the right pricing and tub size options to fit any yard and any budget with quick and easy financing options. Swain even has hot tubs that can plug right into your existing electrical outlets, so there's no additional installs needed. Visit SwainPools.com. That's SwainPools.com.
And right next to Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee Car Care. Stop in today for everything from an oil change and brake repair and tires to alignments and transmission. Big or small, we do it all. It's Tallahassee Car Care, the only repair shop where you can take a dip while we repair your whip. Tallahassee Car Care, right next to Swain Pools and Spas.
Cannonball!
Now that the brutal North Florida and South Georgia winter is over, okay, we had a couple of cold snaps, but still, now is the best time to give your AC system a good cleaning. Dust can build up in your AC system, leading to higher utility bills and poor air quality. That's when it's E&B to the rescue. Our 21-point inspection and tune-up costs only $99 and gets things working their very best. So before the summer hits, get your AC spick and span. Call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning today.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFD, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
105th PGA Championship at the Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York. Par 70, 7,394-yard course. Scotty Scheffler, the 7-1 favorite. John Rahm, 8-1. Rory McIlroy and Patrick Cantlay, 16-1. College baseball today in the Southeastern Conference. Florida Gators, $1.25 favorite at Kentucky. Kentucky minus 105 with the money line. Florida State plus 130 at Louisville. The Cardinals, $1.60 home favorite. Tampa Bay Rays even money at the New York Mets. Mets minus 115 at Citi Field, where the total is 8.5. That number is juice to the under. Start betting smarter with the betting intelligence app, Juice Reel. Download the free app today, Juice, REEL. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Smooth skin begins with hydrating ingredients. Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion nourishes your skin with all-day hydration for deeply moisturized results that give you confidence like buttery soft shoulders like and visibly smooth skin like. Quench your skin with nourishing moisture from Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion. Try Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash too and get skin your face will envy.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
Discover the taste of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. Con amor y pasión, with love and passion, Café de Martín is a fine Peruvian dining experience in an approachable, comfortable, cultural-rich space built for creating memories to last a lifetime. Enjoy happy hour daily with a full bar, handcrafted cocktails, beers on draft and bottle, paired with a selection of Peruvian tapas like crispy fried yuca with house-made huancaína sauce, carefully selected charcuterie boards, a selection of fresh ceviches, and so much more. It's Café de Martín and El Bar. Escape to Peru, a country of great culture, beauty, and food right here in the capital city. Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For Florida State and really the rest of the ACC, this goes back a ways. And I think when we have this conversation, it's more about the writing having been on the wall for some time, but you didn't reach a level of critical mass until we saw the seismic shift in college football with the expansion of conferences and the SEC poaching teams from other leagues to create a super conference. And then the Big Ten was forced to respond. And once you got to a place where those television contracts were going to render in the neighborhood of 30 and down the line 40, 50, 60 million dollars per institution, per program, above and beyond anything you could make in your league for any of the teams in your league, then it was officially time to ride, time to figure out how to dissolve the current situation. And it's what anybody would do. It's comical to watch people and others weigh in and say, oh, well, you're just upset because grown-ups are talking here. You can leave. You don't know what you're talking about. It's 30, 40, 50 million dollars annually. Nobody would find that tenable, and they would leave. Everybody would. Anybody in those conferences certainly get it. The people that can you imagine if you are a Missouri fan or a Rutgers fan, Maryland fan, or you're a fan of, Vanderbilt?
Indiana.
Yeah, Purdue. You've got to feel like you just fell into massive amounts of money. You just inherited a windfall. Certainly not based on merit. So nobody watches those teams. Nobody cares about those teams at all. Nationally, that's a fact. Those numbers, that's not an opinion. Go look at those TV ratings for the games involving Indiana or Missouri or Rutgers. They're almost non-existent. So those folks have to feel like, oh my God, thank goodness. We could be stuck like a real team is named Florida State or Clemson. They have real teams with real significant accomplishments and have mattered in the overall big picture of college football forever compared to us having never mattered. And we're making 30, 40, 50 million dollars more than them. Sucks to be them. Right. Yeah, it does. And them are saying no more. Clemson is saying no more. Florida State is saying no more. And they have the leverage to do those kinds of things. So that's how that's going to work. I just wonder what this will all get resolved. We know that it's an inevitable thing. I would love to be at those meetings at ESPN because they have real strategy, real decisions and strategies to figure out as to how to go about this, how to manipulate and move certain assets.
Well, yeah, if you at ESPN are going through the different scenarios, and one of the scenarios is the ACC dissolves, you got to go through that right now to do your own due diligence. You don't have to go down to Greensboro and look at contracts.
Mm-hmm.
You just go in your own boardroom, close the doors, and say, okay, if they find the teams necessary to dissolve this, we now have X amount of dollars a year that we can spend elsewhere. Where are we going to allocate those funds? And do we think that any of these assets that might be free agents, as in the lower teams in the ACC that don't have a home to go to, do we think we need to work our magic to place them somewhere to fortify our brand with the Big 12 contract or with whatever contract? Those are the things that they have to go through right now. I would think that from their perspective, that's a very real possibility. And so they need to be prepared with, that's money back in their pocket. If you think about it that way, we've got a channel that's linear. What the hell are we going to call it? And what are we going to do with it? What else, what are we going to put on that channel? Is it SEC2? Is it some sort of Big 12 channel? Because we're not going to give it back. We still want the cable carriers and the satellite providers to pay us for the thing existing. It's interesting. They've had to have gone through that process and be ready for all scenarios. That's what a good, reasonable business of any kind, be it small or a corporation, would do.
Well, they haven't been as mega successful as they have by sitting back and not reading the tea leaves.
And they're also hemorrhaging money, so they might just keep it. They might say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We'll add these couple entities. We'll up on a prorated basis the contract to the SEC, and that's fine. But you know what? Now that I don't have to pay BC and Syracuse beyond whatever maybe one-time fee they would need to dole out, So the money that this is good. We can report that there's growth by just retaining money that we were going to spend.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when they get aggressive because you'll get leaks. Eventually, you get leaks. At first, usually there's sort of a sit back in the cut. Let's let these two duke it out. Let's figure out what their plan is. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, there are conversations going on. They're looking at big picture, trying to maximize revenue. At some point, when they realize there is an air of inevitability to it all, they step in and kind of like, okay, well, now we've got to move the pieces.
Yeah.
Now we've got to actually get involved.
This is the other thing I brought up yesterday. If 8 is indeed the magic number in order to do anything you want with the conference, it is at that point if you have 8. If they have a will to even do this, maybe Florida State says, hell no. We just want this thing we want to be free and clear. But you would have leverage at that point to return to ESPN if you have the amount of institutions necessary to dissolve it and say, look, either if it's the status quo, this league's not going to exist anymore. So you won't have to worry about a relationship with us. We'd like to keep it going if you want to return to the table. What say you, ESPN? You would create leverage over the TV network at that time if you wanted to give it one last chance to work as the ACC with ESPN. And at that point, if I was the commissioner, that's what I would pull for.
I was about to say, but Jim is going to be pulling for that right about now. Has to be.
But if I'm us, I'd say, no. Why would we take that extra step? We're just going to go over here to door number 2, and we're just going to get the money from over there.
Well,
thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
It just depends on what people believe. Obviously, Ira brought up a point last hour about everybody's from somewhere, everybody went to school somewhere, everybody has allegiances, everybody has a level of fandom for regions of the country, programs, conferences, you name it. Everybody comes at it from a different perspective. If you hate Florida State, you find all of this nauseating, and they're just one of the bullies that are causing the problems that we've seen exist elsewhere, and it just makes you sick. I don't care. I don't, that's fine. None of those other conferences and their commissioners or their programs cared about what was overall good for college football. They went about the process of finding ways to maximize profits and revenue.
And they got in the ACC for speaking about those institutions by screwing over and backstabbing the Big East.
Right.
In a lot of those.
Right. Everybody has to look out for number one. Everybody has to do that.
Yeah. And a lot of the money you're getting, in fact, most of it right now is because of us in the first place. If you thought it was an upgrade to leave where you were to where you were going to the ACC, it's because of us. It's not because of Clemson.
Right.
When they made that
at that time, of course it was not.
20 years ago, it was because of us.
It was only because of us.
And maybe the added value of Miami, the potential that was never realized.
Not once.
But it was mostly us.
Maybe also you thought, well, it'd be cool to be a part of a basketball league that is as powerful as it is. Not knowing, perhaps, much like Swafford didn't, that basketball was going to become irrelevant.
I think if it was even money, they wouldn't have made the move. Only if it's an upgrade in money would they have done it. And that's why we're all here. But the other thing, Ira brought this up too. You get these other media reporters from different portions of the ACC footprint. And one of them asked Alford a question, and it was loaded. And all it was to take a pot shot. And it was about Florida State being 32-32 in the last however many years in the ACC. That's all he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
There really wasn't even a question. It was about you don't invest. 5 years ago it was you invested the least of any program or at least of any institution in your football program. You're 32-32 in your last 10 years. Do you think you have any part in the issue with the ACC? That's basically what the question was, which is ridiculous because it is, again, about eyes on sets.
Also,
now we're winning again, but the grant of rights was extended in 2016 on the heels of a national title. So miss me with that.
Moreover, the aspect of you don't invest in your football program is nonsense.
Correct. Since he took over, especially, which is what he pointed out.
Utter and complete nonsense. I mean, that's the silliest thing of all time.
All it was a question born out of frustration that the media member wanted to take a pot shot at the bully. That's all they were doing.
Well, and I'm okay with Florida State being seen and Clemson being seen as the bullies in this situation. Yes, we need to bully our way out of this piece of crap conference and on to something bigger and better so that we have a chance to continue to bully people on the football field. That is the whole goal here.
Except it was met with, we want to stay.
Well, again, we addressed that yesterday. It was a reach, and
if it was a different,
it was sort of a, I can't believe I just said that, sort of moment. You could hear it with the way that he trailed off. He knew in the moment. It's like when you say that thing to your significant other and you want to bring it back. Oh, that's not what I meant. That's not going to be received well. Damn it, man. Why don't you just shut up? Is what your brain is saying in that moment. You don't have to express everything you're thinking. Yeah. I do think
If you would have picked up the dry cleaning 2 days ago, this wouldn't have been.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh boy. Well, I just lost my queen on the chessboard. I'm now playing without the most important piece on the chessboard. I am screwed.
Perhaps we wouldn't be running late if. Yeah, there it is. There, you know where it's going. You just know where it's going.
The best is when
there
she's
isn't a need.
When she's understanding enough when you stop mid-sentence and say, I don't mean that, I'm sorry.
Right. I'm
then,
going to pretend I didn't hear where that was going, even though I know exactly what you were about to say.
Right. And they say, okay, it's fine. Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mad at you too.
Yep. Let's just keep looking straight ahead.
Yep.
Put on a good album. Yep. Here we go.
5 minutes later, you're talking about the vacation. 6 months from now, everything's okay.
You know, it's an underrated song. Nobody ever talks about this one. This is one of the better ones, though, to me. Number 4, it's an all-timer. I like it. It really pieces the rest of it. And you're like, yeah.
That's a sign that you've made it in a relationship.
Well, the reason I asked the question about what that timeline looks like, because again, this has been described as a conference that's a dead man walking, certainly as it's currently comprised. And I want to know, I keep wanting to know, and I mean, that's just frustration, and that's also just because I think the longer it goes on, the worse off Florida State is. It's not just about getting out. It's about getting out in a very timely fashion. Because the sums of money, the disparity in that amount that we're talking about really elevates very, very quickly starting next year. So you can't sit around and get 90 million, 120 million, 150 million in the hole while you wait to leave.
Agreed. I think this is one thing worth, I don't know if anybody would talk about it, but investigating if you were to get a loan to make the money work, or if you could get a settlement the way that Texas and Oklahoma did, where you could pay it out against future earnings, you're going to be spending the money anyway, would be my take on it. This is why it's untenable. Either you're going to spend the money in legal proceedings, or you're just going to outright lose that money to Florida and Georgia and Alabama and Auburn, and you're going to get lapped in all things, because all sports matter to this athletic department. That's one thing that they've always been about, and it's a point of pride of being a Nole. We win championships conference-wise, nationally, in a lot of different sports. We don't just care only about football as an athletic department.
It would force you to only care about football the longer you stayed in this
Correct,
conference.
that's not what we're about. In a way, it creates more urgency because you care about the other sports, because those are the first to go.
Yeah.
And if you're going to spend the money anyway in net losses to the SEC rivals and the Big Ten rivals, you may as well spend it now and be in litigation so you can reach that home. And then you're set up for the next 40 years. Either way, like when it gets down to that worst case scenario that Ira's talking about, we're riding no matter what. Yeah, agreed. Because one way or another, you're going to pay money. You might as well do it in a different conference.
By the way, if I asked you as we go to commercial break, Hurricanes over 32.5 shots on goal tonight.
Ooh. I think that's an under. Florida's playing extremely responsible, and it's not like Carolina likes to race up and down the ice.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's an under. That game's in Carolina, right? They're the higher seed. They got to be.
Yeah, it's at the Hurricanes. How about team total under 3.5 for Carolina?
It's under. Florida, I think, is a dark horse to win the whole thing.
So I've gone under with these two things.
Yeah. Sergei Bobrovsky looks like the good version of himself, and the best version of that goalie is all world. All world.
You like Moneyline Stars plus 115 at the Golden Knights?
Man, that series, I got to see it. There are some that I can feel out by just watching other teams, but I have no idea what that's going to look like.
I'm locked into the gambling right now. Buddy.
Also, I could tell. Also, Vegas is, they got goalies 2 and 3. They've got like 5 right now, which is weird.
I know.
But they're in a situation that's very different. And Ottinger is up and down for Dallas. I really wouldn't touch that series until you see a couple of games.
Also, I'm thinking a couple in NBA bets for tonight. I'll get to those later. It feels like a Friday. It's a Thursday, but it feels like a Friday.
We've got a friend who I believe parlayed.
I like every story or conversation that begins, we've got a friend.
Yeah.
I like what I always want to know where this is going.
No, if it was me, I'd say it. But we've got a friend who has parlayed the Heat and the Panthers to both win the title and did so weeks ago.
Nice.
Still alive. And
of course it is. Yeah.
And now the Heat are up 1-0.
Yeah. I would think the harder reality there is the Heat to win it all. I don't
probably
that's going to be hard because even still, let's say Boston underachieves and they have the more talented team, but they could very well lose, get out coached. Spo is a much better coach, so that could happen. Basically happened last night with halftime adjustments. So maybe it happens. I still like the Celtics in that series, but on the other side, I don't think you're beating Denver, and I don't think Miami would beat LA either.
Probably not. You're in for the Lakers hard on the West. If
you're Miami,
in
yeah.
this bet,
Mhm.
yeah. But the odds were so astronomical that even
Oh,
to
it's
get
a fun,
this far,
yeah. Sprinkle it on there, baby. Let's go.
I think if both of those teams get to 3 wins in their respective conference finals,
you got to go ahead and cash in.
that's when you ask
sell.
about a hedge.
Yeah, you got to hedge. You got to make a profit. That's a fun one. I love that we have a friend who did that. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
For about 50 years, Paul's Termite and Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses for thousands of people right here in the Big Bend. And we're quite proud of that. Fact is, all of us here at Paul's have families, and nothing is more important to us than their protection. By providing effective termite and pest treatments, we know we're aiding many right here in our community.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control performs many services designed for the protection of your family and your home. Programs like Pro Shield Complete, which encompasses termite and general pest control in one low-cost quarterly treatment plan. This program is environmentally friendly and is almost exclusively limited to exterior treatments, meaning pests and termites never enter your home. Termite programs like Centricon, a service which requires no invasive drilling or liquid applications. Plus, our lawn care team keeps lawns and ornamentals green and healthy.
Protection of your family, your home, and our environment all are very important to each of us at Paul's. To learn more about our many programs, please visit us at callpauls.com.
For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And the greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
This is Tyler from Bear No Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere.
Save big time in the new year and get $1,200 off select new units.
Online at BaranoAC.com.
Keeping you comfortable is what Barry does.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Discover the taste of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. Con amor y pasión, with love and passion, Café de Martín is a fine Peruvian dining experience in an approachable, comfortable, cultural-rich space built for creating memories to last a lifetime. Enjoy happy hour daily with a full bar, handcrafted cocktails, beers on draft and bottle, paired with a selection of Peruvian tapas like crispy fried yuca with house-made huancaína sauce, carefully selected charcuterie boards, a selection of fresh ceviches, and so much more. It's Café de Martín and El Bar. Escape to Peru, a country of great culture, beauty, and food right here in the capital city. Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to drink water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Listeners of this fine program understand that it's something that interests me greatly while also causes consternation, frustrates me to no end. But I do rather receive these than not receive these stories. So by all means, anybody being mauled by a polar bear or any story about a baseball card that turns out to be worth $1 million discovered in the attic of Uncle Joe, any of those things, yes, please send them my way. This one sent to me this morning. A woman bought 4 ceramic plates at a thrift store for $8. That turned out to be original Picassos worth over $40,000 a piece. Again with this, at a thrift store. Damn it, man. My time's coming. I try to find things like this all the time.
Your time is coming. You'll be 94.
And I'll win $1 million and die in a month. Or in the moment that they tell me it is. A New York woman purchased several ceramic dishes at a Salvation Army store. $8. Found out those rare plates were made by Pablo Picasso. Verified.
How? Who the hell said, hey, Wanda, I think these are Picassos?
Well, they're painted. And Picasso, as you well know, has a very distinct style.
Oh, okay. It was the painting.
So the plate is painted, and they just thought somebody was imitating Picasso in the way that they painted the plate. And she's had this set of plates for some time, and somebody came in and went, man, that's a really good imitation. Like this person, this is obviously an art expert, said, no, man, I think that's Picasso. Like, I think Picasso painted these plates. No, Karen. There's no chance that Picasso himself painted these plates. I'm telling you, I think so. Why don't you get them checked out? Boom. There it is.
Okay, if that's what happened, you had a dinner party guest. You're eating food off of the Picasso plates.
What do I got to give her?
Yeah.
I know it's the story.
It's at least, I mean.
What do you give her?
It's at least 20%. I think half is probably fair in that situation.
20 grand? Yeah, you're probably right.
Half might be fair. Would have never known. Would have either put it on the shelf or eaten off of it and put it in the dishwasher.
Visage Noir series of hand-painted ceramics produced in a pottery studio in the southern French town of Madura in the 1940s. She didn't believe her friend right away, but her friend was on it. Was like, no, man, I think this is famously part of that series. And then she, luckily, has access, like all of us do, to the internet. She took some pictures and posted them. They're like, that's it. We've been looking for these 4 plates forever.
Meanwhile, I've been holding on to a game I got double gifted. I've got NCAA 14 for the Xbox 360. It's still on the wrapping. It's in perfect condition.
What is it? What do you? Oh.
NCAA 4, the last NCAA
the last
game.
One.
Yeah, because right now it's retailing for around $100, $200. Well, unfortunately, EA's bringing it back, but fortunately.
Yeah, very fortunate.
Much to the chagrin, though, of my future earnings. It's a very sad day.
2 jars bought for $25 at a thrift store turn out to be part of the Ing Dynasty that could fetch somewhere in the neighborhood of $63,000 a jar. I love that. I always like the person that comes along and goes, you know, Harry, come in here for a second. Bring your magnifying glass. I want to see something. This looks an awful lot like what I saw a few years ago at Roseberry's. You know, at Roseberry's they had. What does that mean, Tom? Just come in here, Harry. Let's see. Flip that jar over.
Why is this me?
These are extremely well potted and painted with great skill and finesse pants. I can't speak. I'm making myself laugh.
I think it was the Roseberries that did it.
That was a good one. I got to give myself credit.
Is Roseberries in that article? Or
No,
did you
I just made up Roseberries because it sounds like a place where you'd buy pots.
It's someplace that you and I drive past and go, who
goes to Roseberries?
It's been there for 20 years.
They're making money at the Roseberries. You wouldn't believe it. It's like places that sell beds, bedding. Like, really?
What do you like to do on the weekends, Aunt Beth? I like to go to Roseberries. Every weekend. Yes, every weekend.
Sounds like a place that you'd like to go. So, yeah. I could do this all day. There was something recently, an ancient Roman bust purchased for $35 at a Texas thrift store. Currently on view in San Antonio, turned out to be like an original 1st century BCE freaking bust of a Roman general, whoever it was. And yeah, it was the actual one. Somehow ended up in Texas. Person's like, oh, let's go put it in the garden. This is amazing. And it turns out that, oh, that's really? Yeah, it was him, Pompey. Really? No, it is.
It's General Litmus.
You should talk to Emily Balfew of the Sama Institute. She's going to let you know that it is Litmus.
She'll give it a test. She'll give it a test to see if it's legitimate.
That's the Temple of Vintage. I'm letting you know now.
You walk in before you even say anything.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God, it's Litmus. Where did you find that?
What? Who's Litmus? That's my favorite. These things happen all the time. I crack up always, but it drives me nuts because I keep waiting for my moment. I've gone past any number of garage sales and thrift stores and thought, nope, that's just a sorry paperback of Jaws. They're everywhere. It's not you don't know, that could be the original print.
If my eyes aren't deceiving me, I don't think they don't often do that. I believe these are the bed sheets that Socrates used to have for the little boys that stayed with him.
Oh my God. It's taken a turn for the worst. Just in time for me to inform everybody that Corey freaking Connors leads the PGA Championship.
Connors.
Victor Hovland 1 stroke behind, and my man Scotty Scheffler right there. Come on, Scotty. I told you it was Rom or Scotty in my big pool, and my man took Rom. I grabbed Scotty.
Rom's +4.
Woo! Fell off a cliff. He was -2 earlier today. Course is playing hard. You've got a lot of big names at +1, +2.
+2 is top 25 to give folks an idea. Yeah.
And we have a Bryson DeChambeau sighting, unfortunately. Maybe he'll break his ankle if we're lucky. He's at -2. Let's hope he rips his back to pieces on a swing on number 14. We can all celebrate together.
It's because I got a little shallow.
I'm so strong. Just so strong. My club head speed ripped my back. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The man accused of killing pregnant 19-year-old Anastasia Gilley is now facing additional charges across state lines. Gilley's body was found decomposing in Headline, Alabama just last week. Gilley was born and raised in Tallahassee but had been living in Marianna for the last year and a half. Marquise Devon McLeod, 33, is facing a second charge of capital murder for the child Gilley was carrying. McLeod was already charged with one count of capital murder during a kidnapping in the first degree. Houston County Sheriff Donald Valenza believed Gilley was shot multiple times. In a candid moment during this Wednesday's news conference, he said he'd like to see prosecutors seek the highest punishment possible. Valenza said a lot of evidence has been collected in the case so far, including her cell phone. HCSO said they are still conducting interviews and following up on leads. McLeod still isn't being cooperative during interrogations. His charges carry a possible sentence of life in prison without parole or the death penalty. He is being held without bond in Houston County. This is Rachel Ann with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Overcast this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 85. Southerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy skies expected tonight. Scattered thunderstorms likely. Lows around 67. Chance for scattered storms again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 87. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 85.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, you know, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay.
You know?
Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Show brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Our collaborators, our friends, our supporters. That's right. ISF, who, by the way, you guys may not know this, work directly with the Department of Children and Families to define their vision and goals for the future of a critical system serving the public good. That's cool. Just like that descriptor alone is a really cool thing. That's something ISF does. Department of Health, Department of State, Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, Customer Experience, Department of Economic Opportunity, all of these things, grant funding, allocation analysis, all of it. And, defining a clear-cut vision and making that efficient, finding better ways and uses for your monies. Could describe what Florida State has done to flip this roster and flip the expectations of the future. And since this is solving the future, I think Florida State has largely done that with the acquisition of one Keon Coleman. Florida State now possesses a big play receiver to go along with a matchup nightmare on the other side. And that has been the ongoing conversation
throughout spring into the offseason is the many ways in which Florida State addressed pressing needs. We talk about the offensive line all the time, and we should. You got to start there when you talk about flipping a roster and flipping expectations and changing what your future looks like. It started with that offensive line. They could not block. 3 years ago, they couldn't block. Nothing you try to accomplish in the game of football can happen if you can't block. Because gone are the days where teams rule a division, a conference, a league with defense. Doesn't happen anymore. Your great defenses have games in which they give up 30-plus points. That's because the rules are in favor of the offense, and there are ways to really exploit defenses because of those rules. Even good ones, even really good ones.
Extra plays, speed of the game, stuff like that.
Yeah. And, just the way that you've watched RPOs and all that stuff kind of take over the game. So you had to get better blocking it up. You had to find ways to give your quarterback a chance. You had to find ways to protect your defense by being able to run the football and keeping them off the field and running clock and shortening games. You had to do all of these things that begin and end with your offensive line having the ability to execute, block it up. You had to have the requisite depth to do all of that, and they did. But from there, we quickly turned our attention. This coaching staff quickly turned their attention once they felt they had enough to at least get a modicum of protection and success rushing the football with that aforementioned offensive line. They had to find more dynamic players out on the edges, playmakers, game changers. Yeah, part of that was fueled by the fact that the quarterback became more than a one-trick pony. He became a real passer of the football from the pocket. Challenged the middle of the field down the seams, could get outside the tackles and make you miss, could also diagnose pre-snap and do all those things. But if you didn't have the kind of talent at wide receiver to change a game, it wouldn't have made much of a difference. He still would have had to do a lot of things by himself. So now you have some of that in the form of your tight ends and, of course, your wide receivers. That room now, one of the best in the ACC, one of the top 25 best receiver rooms in the country. It wasn't even a year or two ago, certainly. So Florida State has come an awful long way in solving their future, and they've done it by changing the offensive line, finding the depth, and then flipping that receiver room, which in some ways was a bigger mess. Maybe not as impactful, but a bigger mess than the offensive line.
Can I ask a question projecting forward to this season? Because it gets fun now. How many points per game do you think this offense is going to produce? Last year, just to give people a hint, feel free to weigh in the chat. But last year, we produced 36 even points per game, 36.0. If you had to guess where this year is going, what would that total be?
So let's think back to last year's top offenses. Florida State was in the top 15? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Florida State was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. Florida State was 10th. Florida State's offense averaged more points
than all but 9 others?
Well, no, I was going to give you some significant names they were ahead of. It depends if you want to look at total points or points per game. But Florida State was right there with Alabama, to give you an idea. And really right there next to some other really Oklahoma's offense was good last year. They couldn't get stops. Florida State was in a good neighborhood. Tennessee was in an elite neighborhood. Tennessee points per game through 13 games played last year, 46.1. So my question to you, is it anything close to that this year?
I think it will be, yeah. I think the defensive line is going to give you some short fields. I think that's the other thing that changes. These things typically bleed together.
I went by total offense there too, by the way, just for, that's a bland stat. You can look at much more advanced metrics to get a clearer picture.
But they were in the top 20 across pretty much any metric and the top dozen across pretty much all of them. I would say that, we're looking in the mid-40s because this, once again, when you look at the schedule, how it lays out.
Yeah, the schedule.
You've got a lot of opponents that are super gettable. We are not afraid to blow teams out. We proved that last
7 times last year.
Yeah. meaning that we still keep the foot on the gas. That's important because sometimes if you're a head coach who likes to dial it back, Nick Saban had done that for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he could have last year with the defense that they had, but that would affect your total point per game output. But I think it's got to be in the low to mid 40s at this point, probably 42, 43 points a game.
Well, if you go through that schedule, it begins with LSU in prime time, 7:30 p.m. ABC, September the 3rd.
Ooh. What would you set the team total over under for Florida State at? Right here, right now.
For that game?
Team total, Florida State. Yep. You're Vegas. You're setting the number.
Oh, man. That's the first game of the year. There's a lot of speed and a lot of talent on both sides for those two teams. 31.
Wow. That tells me something because I figured you would go high 20s as the Vegas over-under. So 31.
Yeah, the race is to 31. I just don't – both those quarterbacks are going to make these defenses suffer.
Yeah.
They just extend plays, man. They keep making guys miss. Even if you've called the right defense for the right offensive play, those guys are capable of pulling it down and then making a guy miss in a tough situation, extending that play. You're going to get big plays because of that, either from their feet or a broken coverage downfield that, you're asking DBs and safeties to cover somebody for 6 and 7 seconds. It ain't going to happen.
Could Florida State crack the 50-point per game plateau? You think that's too much?
All right, well, what do you think Southern Miss, Boston College, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Duke, Wake, Pitt, Miami, North Alabama, and Florida are, right? I mean, like, when you rattle those off, those all seem like games and potentially where you would really lay a number on somebody.
Opportunities. Those are opportunities for production. Big time.
The opportunities for Florida State to put up a big number on Southern Miss and Boston College and Virginia Tech and Syracuse and Duke. By the way, that stretch, the difference in those totals where you're looking to find out, can Florida State crack the 50s? And I'm going to say no, because I don't think they'll choose to do that in some cases. It's really the stretch of Virginia Tech, Syracuse, and Duke all at home, back to back to back. Bad teams getting ready to take some ass kickings. Now, Duke is the oddity there. That was
they
a
can play
team,
a little defense.
Well,
yeah.
Right, and they played a pretty good brand of football a year ago. They weren't terrible. Lest we forget, here's Duke last year. You look at the last 5. Wow, Duke really did play well down the stretch. They had a close loss to Pitt, 28-26, hammered Virginia Tech, beat Boston College soundly, beat Wake, which we didn't do, and beat UCF. Clemson, Duke doesn't suck.
Well, that's you need somebody to keep your attention for that October stretch of Virginia Tech, Duke, and Syracuse. Yes. But just to put it in perspective, this was a different era, a slower era, especially given our head coach. But the national championship team from 10 years ago that set records scored 51.6 points per game.
Yeah.
51.6. We feel great about our offense because we think it's going to go into the 40s.
Yeah, well, that team was diabolical. They did some lampooning of teams that were oof.
It's because the defense offered up a lot of opportunities in opposing territory. Turnovers, special teams was good too. And Aguayo was automatic from 70, it felt like. So all of those things conspire together to get you over that threshold. But that group was stupid for as few possessions as they had.
Yeah, this is the number one reason that I think, A, the total number will not be what we think it should be based on the collective talent, and B, why I think Jordan Travis will likely not be a Heisman candidate when it comes down to it. This schedule allows for Florida State to sit a ton of their offense up by a lot of points in the second half of a lot of games. That's not arrogance. I just think the matchups are terrible for some of these teams going against Florida State's offense right now. A lot of these games are going to be 21 to 24 point differentials in the third quarter. It's going to allow for you to dial it back and run clock, run the football. You get a deep offensive backfield. You're going to be handing the ball off a lot to a lot of guys, partly to satiate the number of carries that your second and third and fourth string running backs are going to want, to hang in there with you.
At 35-10 mid-third quarter, what are you really trying to accomplish?
Yeah, you don't want to get guys hurt. You're just trying to produce numbers, that kind of a thing. I don't.
The good news is, though, your second quarterback slot is not defined for the future. You don't have the heir apparent to Jordan Travis. So when those kids go in with
Yeah.
a better offensive
You can rightfully
line,
say to the opposing coach, sorry, dude, I got to let him sling it around the lot.
and we've got an offensive line at the second level that can block it up.
Yeah, so it's a good point. Just how much better is Tate Rodemaker going to be this year than last? I mean, that he's got to take another. I think he needs to take a big step forward. Yes, the Louisville game happened, and we'll forever be grateful that it did. And it was a cool moment for a kid who we all like and had shown real promise at times.
It's a giant step in its own right.
Yeah, but that, some semblance of that needs to be who he is. Because he's going to have to start the following year if all goes according to plan. And listen, again, if Jordan gets knocked out of a game or a half, you got to know that you're not a dead man walking because you bring Tate in. He's got to be able to run this offense. They got too many weapons for that to be the case.
Isn't that also the benefit of getting a guy like Keon Coleman that you put with a backup quarterback, Johnny and Keon, outside with Jaheim wherever you want to line them up, and Morlock and Biscuit, and you got those running backs in that offensive line. Even though a backup's in, they still have to play you completely honest.
Yeah.
There's too much. There's too much for them to cover.
It's fun. Is today the 100-day mark to the start of college football? Did I see that correctly? Let's check it during the break. Come back and wrap it up momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Wooden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at woodenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
There's no doubt that buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first home. You're worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers, and that's not all, Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
NMLS number 2270-146. At Pinch A Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas, it's prime time hot tub season. And after a long, stressful day, there's nothing like soaking in a hot tub with all that steam. And it has lots of great health benefits, too. Pinch A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas is your true hot tub headquarters. Save today on the hot tub of your dreams at prices you can afford. Come and shop our 12,000 square foot showroom and find the right model for you. With over 50 hot tubs in stock, you're sure to find the one that's just right. And for a limited time, take advantage of a free spa cover with purchase of your new hot tub. That's around a $400 value, completely free with your purchase. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come see us at 2473 Greer Road. Pick out your hot tub and enjoy your free cover. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, this is Dr. Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. If you have a pain in the neck, bring them to Finn Chiropractic because neck pain, low back pain, headaches, numbness, and tingling can make your significant other or family member very irritable.
This is Dr. Shannon Lord. We developed the Phenomenal Health Exam to get to the cause of your problem. You can schedule your appointment at finnchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
Whether the pain is in your neck or someone else's, come to Finn Chiropractic.
Because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's a Northeast tournament. He always shows up.
That is true.
Always.
Good point.
Always.
He loves Connecticut, where the Travelers is.
Dude, he plays really well in the New England area, period. He plays well in New York. Yeah.
Have you noticed that the course in Connecticut, excuse me, now I'm going to get
got choked up thinking about Connecticut.
Talk amongst yourselves. that is the spookiest neighborhood. You see the houses in that neighborhood? It looks like something out of M. Night Shyamalan.
I don't think I've paid attention.
You'll see it now. It's an afterthought of an event, but
a lot of times I think it looks idyllic. I think it looks nice, like a place that it's sleepy.
It looks sleepy.
Sleepy.
And there it is.
Well, you think there's like terror waiting behind the bushes? Like,
I believe there is. That's a course I would skip if I was the touring pro.
Man.
I don't like what's going on here.
I like it. I kind of like it. Well, I like this course. I like a lot. I'm finding it fascinating. By the way, Gary Woodland must have heard me. He's now at +4, and he's battling back. He just piped a drive. No, +3.
+3.
Ah, there you go. Tough love Cameron came through for Gary.
And I thank you for it.
Yeah. Well, he had to keep up with Scheffler.
I mean, if I'm going to put 5 large on Gary Woodland, he needs to perform.
Oh, man. Let's do this. I want to thank my friends at Power Mill always for sponsoring the Probables segment. And if your kids are getting ready to get out of school, and they are, if they live here, this is it. It's last week. You got half days next week, and then it's over. Kids are out of school. Damn it, man. Baseball, softball camps for this summer. And this is a place that will equip and motivate your kids, get the most out of their abilities, and give them specific tools to reach their true potential. Powering performance is what Power Mill does. PowerMillSports.com. Cue it up, baby.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
5-4 in the 8th between the Angels and the Orioles. That's Tyler Anderson versus Tyler Wells. The Tylers always seem to face one another. 3-2 Mets lead the Rays in the 7th. Tyler McGill and Taj Bradley. It is 3-1 Marlins over the Nationals. Trevor Williams and Yuri Perez. We got the Guardians and the White Sox in the 3rd. There is no score in that game. It is Logan Allen and Dylan Cease. Yankees, Blue Jays, Nestor Cortez tonight, and Jose Berrios. I forgot. That's right.
I haven't had one in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
A lot of our guys are gone.
Dodgers, Cardinals, Julio Urias, and Adam Wainwright's 80-year-old ass out here throwing 50. We'll go for the Cardinals, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump.
Whatever happened to Walker Buehler?
Ferris Bueller.
Tommy John on Tommy John?
Did he?
I guess that's what director says. Because he was good.
He was really good.
Yeah. I miss the Trapper Keeper.
You see how quickly it just fades from memory, though? Oh, Walker Bueller. I hadn't even thought about him until you said that. Okay.
What about Jorge De La Rosa?
Oh, I miss both the De La Rosas.
Ruby with 2 B's.
That's right. De La Rosa.
Yeah.
Gone, but not forgotten. Both toiling in the minors, perhaps somewhere. I don't know. I have no idea. What did happen? They were in the league, gone. Simultaneous.
Last I checked, Oliver Perez was still pitching.
Oh, my God.
In some
Oliver Perez was a Pittsburgh Pirate prospect 30 years ago, quite literally. That is nuts. He was atop our rotation for several years, not getting people out before being made a reliever.
He started Game 7 of the 06 NLCS for us because everybody was hurt.
06?
06.
He is the byproduct of a bygone era, which is that you could be a specialist. You're going to make 13 appearances this year, all to get lefties out, and you're going to make $42 million because you've been in the league for 22 years.
There's a Knoll who did that.
Yes.
Great success.
Yes. Randy Choate.
That's it.
It's crazy. Can't do it as much anymore with the new rules, though. Got to be a little bit more versatile than the one-man guy.
Just about every one of these rule changes has been good. I think they've been an improvement.
It's worked quite well.
Now, if we just get the robot umps next year, buddy, it's set.
Anything that gets us rid of Angel Hernandez,
who's only upped 1 game this year. Apparently.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Maybe the Union's finally starting
to
weaken.
Angel, this is not getting it done. That ball was 9 inches off the plate. I can't defend you Good work out of you. Good work, Director Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day and evening. And we'll talk to you tomorrow on Libations Friday. Peace.